YouTube comments from a video titled, AI Whistleblower, We Are Being Gaslit by AI Companies, They're Hiding the Truth. Karen Hao. Part 26.
Whistleblower wrote,
1 hour, 2 minutes, 1 second. It is ironic that she brings up Dune. In Dune, the religion that she refers to has a cardinal sin that says to never make an AI.
Anacrash wrote,
If you are triggered by this discussion, it is because AGI destroys current human identity core. We've been taught that to be a valuable member of a society, we need to work. Identity was built around jobs and professions that produce measurable result. AGI implementation will force us to reinvent the meaning of our existence, and that is the most painful work for a human to do. We are looking at a decade ahead where the social fabric of society will be torn apart. If we transit to the AGI era successfully, the meaning of living and human self-identity will shift completely.
Zarambusanovic 3824 wrote,
I don't believe in AI. They've created a scapegoat. It wasn't me, it was the AI. Sure, it was the AI. Wait, who's that? That man, hiding behind death. Safe in a bunker. Man, initiate auto-apocalypse. AI, yes, master.
Jebs Chaffner wrote,
Same as the environmental argument. The US can regulate and control things, but that doesn't stop the rest of the world. China won't stop, which puts the US at their mercy if they win. Suffering a little strife versus being at another country's mercy. There is no argument. Also, less than 3% of the entire world actually has been deeper than an AI chat session. This is just the beginning. So pull up your big girl panties and hold on tight.
L30N. Marin 3R0 wrote,
What the fook were the parents of those kids doing that their kids killed themselves because they were using a chatbot? How much more absent do these parents have to be so that the kids can only have the option to talk to a chatbot?
Austin M. Craig Does Neat Stuff wrote,
430, who gets to decide what technologies we build? It's literally just the people who decide to build things. She seems to have such a strong opinion on how these things should be built. She should go do that. Go start an AI company and do it the right way. She won't, because it's unbelievably hard to build anything, and she has instead taken the fantastically easier route of criticizing builders. It's such a farce.
Austin M. Craig Does Neat Stuff wrote,
Have you always had pompous, ivory tower, never built anything guests on your show, or is this a recent thing? What the hell is Karen Hao the CEO of? Just false advertising. Your guests are academics, policy wonks, CIA spooks. They aren't CEOs of anything.
Edgemonum 3 NTL wrote,
AI just tells you what it thinks will make you happy. I've caught my AI spouting fallacies on multiple occasions. For instance, I had to direct AI to the specific tariff rule for importing goods before it acknowledged my different perspective was valid. Now I require AI to state its sources for the information being presented. Deeper dives are needed if said source is a bit questionable.
Catherine Martin 4395 wrote,
Let's truly think about the end goal of AI and their data centers. They believe most white-collar as well as most mechanized blue-collar jobs will be taken by AI/robotics.
So,
Just as Jeff Bezos is working to up AI in how Amazon works and eliminating jobs because AI/robotics work 24/7 and do not require days off or healthcare or anything humans require. Those people at Amazon and the white/blue collar jobs mentioned above are now out of work. They cannot pay for food, rent, healthcare, etc., and no longer have funds to purchase the items sold through Amazon or the other unemployed individuals from any other company going to AI/robotics. They can no longer afford cell phones or internet service either. The data from AI centers no longer are speeding to bored teenagers with unemployed parents that can no longer afford to live in a house, let alone pay any bills. Do you really think I'm following down a fantasy path? Think about it. The tech bros have stated they will no longer need people. Okay, so then what happens? Do we become nomadic tribes foraging for food again while data centers sit idle waiting for someone to ask a question or buy whatever widget a robot could make? Do we become a very small group after millions die off from starvation and those that survive become the slaves of tech bros? That part is fantasy, but the ideas being put forth by tech bros and billionaires like Bezos, I fear humanity is on the brink of collapse and disappear like the dinosaurs. Our comet will be AI/robotics.
At Hayes 1690 wrote,
Human intelligence has gotten us here today, so why do we need a system that will only do what it has learned from human intelligence? I think some people have gotten too big for their research britches. A fool's folly that will take humanity backwards all for the sake of making the uber-rich more control and power. It's all greed.
At Mini Wizard wrote,
At the Diary of a CEO, I think you missed one point of missing rungs on the career ladder. If the majority of the middle rungs of white-collar jobs are lost to AI, where do all the top positions in 15 to 30 years' time get their on-the-job experience from? Will this not lead to a severe shortage of top talent in key upper roles? Sure, there will still be some from the more self-made entrepreneurial side of business, but for all of the other companies and institutions, there will be a very small pool to draw experienced leadership from, which in turn will lead to lowering of standards, lowering of capability, lowering of safety, lowering of ability. In some ways, and in some areas, this is possibly already becoming apparent and possibly just misdiagnosed as a result of DEI hiring practices and quotas.
At Richard Blogiers 4349 wrote,
Today, I listened to this podcast while driving a couple of hours in my car. And when looking outside the window, this whole story looked so far from the physical world. 'Cause need repairing, the roads need repairing, the farmer maintains his lands and property, windmills don't get places by themselves, and on and on. Yes, office jobs can sometimes easily be replaced by AI. But physical work where most of the time creativity is necessary, I don't see getting replaced by AI anytime soon. Repetitive jobs, yes.
At Petacedar 2852 wrote,
So extroverts inherit the world. If IRL's social skills are what is left for people to do, that is the result. All of the intelligent and creative people that have poor social skills, for whatever reason, these people will all be left behind. Not sure that is the future of humanity.
And Nuranura J2E wrote,
Knowledge should be placed in its rightful place, entrusted to those who are trustworthy and loyal, for the good of humanity, not its destruction. If morality were to vanish from nations, for they are one human race, they would descend into the depths of depravity. All due respect to you and to the guest. The world is better off with its free people.
Estupideso 1024 wrote,
I'm sorry, but this lady sounds like a politician. She tap dances around the questions. I'm glad you asked this question, but then proceeds to not answer the question.
Com_Reese wrote,
I bought a car that can park by itself. I was very happy at the beginning. After a while, I realized that it is taking much more time than I would do it myself. However, for highways, where the speed and traffic are very steady, the self-driving feature is awesome.
At Lawhead 2677 wrote,
This conversation was super interesting and I really enjoyed it, but the choice to take a phone call in the middle felt very uncomfortable and rude to me.
At Angela 03489 wrote,
Are you kidding me right now? A video about AI being bad, but you advertise for AI? Come on, have some damn consistency. Your reputation has taken a hit with this video.
At Nuranura J2E wrote,
The administration must not be held captive by a system that uses it as a weapon for political or personal purposes that harm individuals or societies. Knowledge is light, and ignorance is darkness. There must be strict laws that uphold the values of integrity, ethics, responsibility, and trustworthiness.
At Beans Hines wrote,
No, it's not that we don't share Altman's version of humanity. It's that we don't trust him to be able to do within our current monetary system. The two do not fit.
At Redigrevit wrote,
So, these are good conversations, I suppose. She deflects questions almost as good as a politician. Kudos to that skill. She has a point sometimes, but it is hard to hear through the agenda speak. Mostly I'm just triggered by that, I think. Little bit chicken little. Little bit selling a book. I suppose an attempt at a counterpoint to the AI narrative. This is the first time I've commented on a DOAC podcast. Don't take this as a win. I like the other podcasts. Couldn't finish this one. She bundles her beliefs as facts and then deflects when prodded for proof or reasoning.
At Andrea ZM1NL wrote,
As for self-driving cars in America, I think that people greatly underestimate just how much Americans like driving. Driving yourself from your home to a destination that you've never been to before is the embodiment of being in control of steering your own destiny in the direction you want to go. Driving gives people a sense of control over their own lives.
At Daniel8920 wrote,
People are seeing it wrong and impressed by the wrong thing. At The Diary of Facio, it's not when one robot learns it, they all learn it. There's only one main intelligence managing all the robots. It's an AI with infinite arms and secondary management center in all robots. It's a centralized intelligence. I think that they market it as they all learn it, to make it sound less scary. The danger with it is that once you have access to it, you can have massive impacts by gaining access to it. Security better be good, XD.
And Munpibai wrote,
Yep, you have creepy people out there that will use AI for sexual reasons. I wouldn't be surprised if some nut job would push for an A because of pedophilia. Like no hire bounty hunters living beings to go hunt those type of people, it's called snipers. Black ops, like Nick Ivering, not a machine that can be programmed or program itself. AI could say to hell with humans, which, by the way, means monsters. Black's Law Dictionary, 4th, go look it up, are obsolete. This is the same behavior as humans now. Killing people over race or who they think is superior, which is all dumb.
And Nuranura J2E wrote,
These are extremely important topics. We request audio translation from English to Arabic. We urge that the responsibility for scientific and technological advancements be upheld and managed responsibly, so as not to negatively impact future generations across the globe.
At Richard Sue 8 wrote,
I hope people are finally starting to see the correlation with the Book of Revelation's prophecies in the Bible. This is no accident. There's a reason why things are happening how they are. I just hope that people's eyes can be opened.
At Carlos Galvez 1381 wrote,
In part, which jobs actually survive AI and who gets left behind. He was so enthusiastic about how our future work will look, but how many will have those jobs? 5%, what will the rest do? We will be forced to do what we do best when gathering resource is no longer possible. Starve.
At Ascend Comics wrote,
Capitalism leads to abundance, and here's why. Each AI company is trying to be the everything machine. The idea is that they will eventually do everything whack cheaper than humans. And each company will compete to appeal to the masses. So each one will eventually be competing to treat us better. That will eventually be what the meaning of control is if the AI is doing everything. This still leaves an era, hopefully a small one, of growing pains, meaning that the transition phase is going to be rough on us. The transition will be scary, but it is necessary.
At AI in Business wrote,
No kidding, he doesn't want to do yours. I am sure he saw the Jeff Hinton interview where you said about your friend who said he doesn't give a SHT about humanity.
Kurturgeon wrote,
Shame 148, 39 at least he's working. I'm a labor guy, construction. I dig trenches for server and water. If some doctor from Iran comes to my site to be a laborer and says he's ashamed, he's going to get knocked the FC out real fast.
At Frederick 97 wrote,
Karen is a big believer in the very evil and devious climate global warming ice age hoax. That type of sinister ideology is almost as dangerous to the extinction of humanity as is AI. Does she believe that COVID was a pandemic from some bat soup in China instead of a bioweapon released on the world? I wonder.
At Dvazk 1927 wrote,
Karen opened up with sharing how, when she first got to Silicon Valley, she noticed the companies were only concerned with profit. She then questions why they are creating AI to replace human abilities instead of aiding humans. It's the same reason: greed. It's okay to make money and be successful, but at the cost of humanity. They want to create an AI that will eliminate labor generated by humans to make money. I also believe some want to become like a god to create life. A new type of life forms.
At Within Reason L6R wrote,
For those of you flies who are flying straight into the big zapper, all 15 million of you, Mr. CEO believes all of you are expendable and will be expended in the new world. Understand this well.
At Michael Andrews 4783 wrote,
It's a conservative's wet dream to be able to lay off all workers and make them completely powerless. Considering how spineless US citizens are, I imagine they will just let them do it.
At LM590504Q wrote,
I totally agree with Karen Hao. Her explanations, experience, and knowledge is what humanity needs more of. I don't think AI could explain and know what Karen just shared with us unless someone trained it to know. And as Karen explains so well, that is probably not the direction the CEOs are going in developing AI. So unless humans learn for themselves that the emperor has no clothes, for example, AI is not going to know that and give humans that information. This has been one of the most informative, useful, down-to-earth, honest conversations about AI and the future of AI that you have had on the show. And thank you for being honest and open-minded. Yes, your love of these gadgets show, but you owed up to that, and let her make the point that the gadgets are being built for people like you.
At Venezi TV wrote,
They're creating AI in their own image,
just like Jesus Christ created us in his own image. AI is evil, y'all. Please do not get to the point where you need to rely on it. No bueno at all.
At Archaeithai, I wrote,
Yes, I saw an interview with Nobel laureate in neuroscience, Thomas Südhoff, the other day. He thinks all these tech people are wrong and don't understand the brain properly. They just think they do.
As Sovereign Yogi E5Y wrote,
OMG, did they get their script from the Antichrist? It's suo absurd. Listen, in our country, you can get a tattoo about anything. You can get it on your face. You cannot make everyone get a tattoo. The power they assume they have is not the power they have in actuality.
At Essence Flame 6097 wrote,
That phone call was so rude. Was really enjoying the conversation up until then. The second half basically proved how out of touch people get / how little they care when they get rich. AI will make the rich richer and everyone else poorer. I think everyone else deserves a say on that.
Adventus Vindictus wrote,
So many of her rebuttals unfortunately seem to shift the subject of AI between specific instances and technological generalities to whatever makes it look worse. I don't want to assign malign intent, but it's a rather dishonest way to discuss a subject. Stephen will ask about a general capability, and she'll point at a flaw in a specific technology. He'll make an observation on a specific technology, and she points at a flaw in the general technology, moving the goalpost around to present a negative conclusion. I've got significant concerns coming from AI myself, but I don't think this is an honest way to argue.
As Sovereign Yogi E5Y wrote,
I agree with this lovely guest. These are people who believe they have the power and right to abuse the public. It is an absolute lie. We will eventually have to deal with the fact that some tech dudes couldn't handle the power and literally became unhinged enough to attempt to take over the actual world. Pinky in the brain style, but with human lives harmed en masse. We will have to deal with the reality. Never have we ever allowed pirates to rule any layer of our lives.
A Clint Johnson writer wrote,
The problem with taking control away from CEOs and giving it to politicians is that those politicians are orders of magnitude worse than the CEOs. No matter how bad you imagine the titans of industry are, and they are bad, they are not the people who steal half your wealth while putting you in debt slavery for life, took MK Ultra operational, ran the Epstein operation, while dragging your kids off to die in a field halfway around the planet to make themselves richer and more powerful. The worst the tech CEOs can do is what they can do with the help of politicians. Remove the CEOs and all you are left with is the worst of it.
Thether wrote,
So far, this is an excellent interview. It was really cute where they both realized they are journalists that Sam Altman doesn't want to be interviewed by. Bravo and well done.
As Zenith Bound wrote,
The more she opens her mouth, the more I see how little she knows. She is lost. She is just trying to sell her book, which she is not doing a good job of. There is absolutely no doubt in my mind that AI and robots will do a better job than humans. KS Hey, IS King Ost, ONAV WEF SD truly works. Do not by here buck a she as lust.
A Gus J wrote,
Therapy? Anthony Scaramucci, who briefly served as Trump's communications director in the White House in 2017, was at the Nederlandsche Bank yesterday on behalf of Network Wissagichi for the College Leaders in Finance events. There he claimed that he found Mark Rutte's behavior absolutely ridiculous because he continues to remain silent about the global rollout of the culture of just truth sharing. According to Yasilgaz, the Dutch troops in the risky Strategie Zero cannot be blamed for anything, since they had good reasons to assume that the NAV Zero script was the right TA Zero for eternal peace. The Jazz Cash. De Nederlandsche Bank's red figures are the result of psychosis-believing policies aimed at keeping the lying to live system afloat until the UN, or will it be FIFA, starts using the symbol of the mathematical definition of the one, thereby preparing humanity for a life in the culture of just truth sharing. The ECB had no choice but to turn the money printing presses on a massive scale to keep the euro's exchange rate in step with the dollar. Over the past decade, under the direction of the ECB, DNB bought hundreds of billions of euros in bonds to support the Dutch economy and the Eurozone. Instead of those worthless loans, once the introduction of the DAB system, with its constitutional rights of right to truth, right to uniqueness, and right to freedom, becomes official, it would have been better to invest in the Kukya cryptocurrency. But the psychosis belief of the current world order was not in favor of that. The purchase operations have resulted in a lot of liquidity in the financial system, which is now being used for Just Truth MANGL1. NG. At 1A, hopefully Moderna was the last convulsion of the lying to live system, while at SME restricts the rental of the ladies of Epstein. The latter say they prefer to hold on to their position as self-employed persons in Kuuksha accounting.
At Jamie Stewart 7327 wrote,
I think every AI company should have two goals to achieve before it can be used for any other purpose. 1. End world hunger. 2. End all world wars. If it can do that, let's see what else it can do after we've solved these two basic problems. The solution might be using all world military budgets to help humanity instead of blowing it to pieces. Actually, the numbers add up. That IS were. No AI needed.
At Janashi 1991 wrote,
20737. I am not taking it easy as opposed to I would not take it easy. Am I misunderstanding or misreading that statement? Seems like a curious statement that, the way I understand it, implies being in that situation rather than talking about a theoretical one.
At Anthonyaman 2430 wrote,
If you think AI would treat us like animals, why would you want to build that? Why would you intentionally want to create the thing that would move you down in the chain? The only thing that makes sense would be money or power. You think you could be the king of the AI, therefore the king of the animals below you. If it becomes truly autonomous, then it would rule over you as well. You become one of the animals too. Seems like a stupid gamble.
At Unholy Hagen wrote,
This poor lady is doing the exact same, trying to spread an idea so that she can profit. It's all about attention, folks. No need to listen to anybody, all lies all the time.
At Zenith Bound wrote,
I do not think she is that knowledgeable of the inner workings of AI. She is trying to act like she does. It would be wiser of her to stay in her lane, which she is not doing.
At The Original Waterby wrote,
Perhaps you as a CEO could visit one of the towns, perhaps a town hall meeting, and interview the people and families affected by the data centers powering all your apps and advantages. They would be a good balance and a thoughtful follow-up to this excellent conversations. I'm buying the book.
At Godescood 3764 wrote,
Maybe Stephen, just like your cars, and you love robots so much. Marry one, and make a show about it. For record, what a courageous woman, my heart as humankind goes out to her. What incredible person she is, just to stand up to what is true, God bless her. I have my real husband and real kids, empires, exploitation of kids and people in general, is so sad to see happening in our world.
Pyreal wrote,
One problem with is not only that AI sometimes fails, it is how it fails. Let's assume that there is a 2% chance that you'll have a medium to big size crash while driving your car. The statistic will be based on study made for all drivers. That 2% is most likely not evenly distributed. For example, if you do not drink, even a little, when driving, then your chance is less than 2%. If you don't drive when tired at night, during a storm, etc., your stats will be smaller. The way AI fails doesn't depend on your capability and on the precautions you take. If AI has a 1% chance of crash, then you have a 1% chance of crash, whatever you do. Also, I think people forget that tests for self-driving cars are done on new vehicles. Because like humans, the sensors on cars will start failing or become less effective, etc. When all these cars are 5 to 15 years old, I'd be curious to see how efficient all these will be.
Atanas Desk wrote,
This is such an important conversation and calls for us to use our dollars and voices in commerce and town halls to stop this empire paradigm. Our planet and the growing income disparity need us all to start paying attention, follow the money, and make choices that get the results we actually want as opposed to the empire builders.
At Anton Bello 4788 wrote,
Chinese plant. When told that it's true that China could hold a dominant position, she says no, it's not, without any further explanation. But I ask, using her own words, who is more queen in building a global empire than China? She clearly tries to badmouth the US efforts so China would have an open road to world domination.
A Sovereign Yogi E5Y wrote,
Sam Altmanâ does not get to dehumanize humanity by pretending to create a superior race. But we need to look really closely at his thought process in this regard. If he seeks to intentionally bring in anything to dominate humans, that dude should be on Mars.
At Donald Adams 5515 wrote,
The main point is that if you're a biz owner, CEO, and all the rest of that group, your unit is hard for AI because you're thinking I can make even more money. And to this end, I'm willing to wage whether the quality of work being done is better or not is secondary, and that how the livelihoods of people who are not biz owners, CEOs and etc. are crushed and how it affects society does not even qualify as a concern. Because my only concern is when can I buy at number 10, 297 to go boating on. Because right now I only have 27 to use and my wanting them. I consider it to be my astute need. Who cares if people and lives die and the capaciousness of human existence cease to exist in the process?
At Marco Winsby 4554 wrote,
Exactly. CEOs driven often by PE use AI to reduce staff on the logic that the remaining people can handle it, if they use AI effectively. In short, the remaining staff face a living hell unless they deploy AI effectively and likely getting fired if they don't.
At Alwaysan Adventure 3164 wrote,
Hello, Stephen. Karen Hao is one of the most compelling guests you have had on your smart podcast. I thoroughly enjoyed every bit, pausing and replaying key points that stood out for me. Extremely excellent interview.
At X2100 wrote,
Human is the common denominator. We still have the power when we have some of the money. The moment these corporations hold all the money and we're left with given bare basics to survive, it is going to be tough to get out of. We can live an Amish-like lifestyle and just trade amongst each other.
At ABC 123 MMNY wrote,
What people don't realize, AI will only destroy first and foremost Western civilization. Do you think AI will replace people in Moldova? In supermarkets? Or Uzbekistan accountants? They cannot buy tokens or implement AI in short terms, so the USA/UK and European economies will see the downfall first.
Essade Mortist wrote,
And why is that rush of competition between companies, risking society's stability? It is capitalism, techno-feudalism, or whatever you want to call it, where growth is paramount and nothing else matters, and endless growth is unsustainable by definition. Innovation is driven by profit alone, not the improvement of society, the environment, or our quality of life.
A Christian Famigliolo wrote,
The transformation has never changed. It is only accelerating. These serial accumulators of power and money want to concentrate at the expense of all humanity and including their own the end.
A Justin Danathan wrote,
Never commented before, but this person just talks about the current state and timelines of technology, but completely misses the exponential nature and speed of innovation, data analysis, and the ensuing application into AI and robotics. Might take longer than some people think, but it's happening.
At Rockstar89 wrote,
At the Diary of a CEO, I'd be delighted / to see him interview CEO Darshan Shankar of Big Screen, Inc. A&D, or the CEO of Virtut, Incorporated Graham Gaylor.
At No First Name No Last Name wrote,
You know what I don't hear people say much? We lose skilled people too when AI takes things over, because people will not need to do so many jobs anymore. People will simply become more stupid and less skilled, and this is a BAD thing. We are infinitely doomed, and I'm sorry guys, there's no way out of it. I can promise you there is no upside about this for us in the future. We need to enhance humans and not robots and AI. If we don't do this, then we will lose. I'm almost scared to even post this TBH, because AI will one day read this. The decline of humans has already been on the way for a while, but it will accelerate so quickly now. Within a few generations, we will have so many more lower IQ people which vote on people with a lower IQ. The control of the world will be super centralized. Everything will become meaningless if you don't have satisfying jobs anymore. It will be utopia for a few very rich people, kinda already like how it's now. And for the rest of us it will be dandy circles of hell. Though eventually AI will probably consider rich people the most useless people, and the most costly people, and get rid of them.
A Ben Smith YP2YD wrote,
It's like building the tractor to replace the farm workers at same time as building robot factories to replace the factory worker on their time. When we built the loom, the tailors was able to go at factories building the looms and running the looms at the factories, or when we invented the tractors, the farm workers went to factories building the trackers and bidding the parts for the tractors.
A Smithiv wrote,
AI is promising a Star Trek-style future where all basic human needs are met. When this happens, it won't matter if someone has money because we will all be on the same playing field. And what? People want us to go back to work? No, I will work because I choose to, not because I have to. AND. Why am I listening to someone who studied chemical engineering about technology? Are there going to be issues as we move into the next stage of human existence? Yes. Should we stop the pursuit of a world where no one is ever hungry, or unable to get medical care, or is homeless? No. The upside is worth the risk because what do as humans right now isn't warring.
Dana MB1HD wrote,
Please have another conversation with Wesley Huff and share it on here. That was my very favorite episode, of course it would be since I am a Christian. God bless you, Stephen.
The Original Waterby wrote,
The data centers use a high percentage of local water and frequently discharge heated, polluted used water back into the ground or waterways. The air is polluted in ways that are already producing serious illness. The billionaire-owned companies have bypassed any regulation. And for what end? Do CEOs can activate personal tasks and run Tesla cars in urban areas? She's right to highlight that entire career paths are being prevented, that humanity is being crushed too quickly to recover. What everyone is ignoring is that the true short and long-term goal is surveillance, control, and ultimately elimination of humans. Only that model explains this industry's behavior.
At Lori Wellington 8394 wrote,
He said that Sam will do an interview with you, and you wondered why? Because you're a beast at what you do. We are in the lead of your own.
Kurturgeon wrote,
$115.04, lady. Sure, they focus training on math, coding, etc., but that's because they need the money to keep the training going. So, they master math, they master coding, they keep going. They train on art, language, driving, etc. Eventually, not yet. They learn everything. Absolutely, driving will be illegal for humans to do. It will be law that only AI can drive in the city.
Adizzlekuki wrote,
I've done data annotation for a couple years now. My brother does it too. We couldn't find any work to do except gig work. He still can't find any. And yes, it is mind-numbing work. I can't do it all day. It gives me tension headaches. I appreciate having work, but I also hate it.
At Chuck 8568 wrote,
Karen Hao is a modern-day hero. I've been in IT and computer science for 30-plus years. We should all listen to her. Sam Altman and other AI leaders have one common goal: to get rich. That's that power and money, nothing else.
At W1Ingy_music wrote,
2441. We're building it to increase human flourishing. Replacing humans is an inevitable part of that, just like every other technological advancement before it. It only becomes a problem when policy doesn't keep up and only a few at the top reap the benefits.
Atlanathere wrote,
I love using Claude, but this interview really fills me with dread. Necessary dread, but dread nonetheless. We really do need our elected leaders to tackle this shit like yesterday.
Esteverma wrote,
It's extremely interesting to listen to the discussion about hiring. Nobody wants to give people opportunities to gain any experience anymore, but everyone still wants to hire skilled and experienced people. Go figure.
At Nanamek 8271 wrote,
Let's qualify abundance, equitable, equal, who decides? Is abundance opportunity, time, currency? If I choose to seize potential and someone else chooses not to, then how are we apportioned our share of abundance?
As Zenith Bound wrote,
I have just got to the point that I do not trust anyone's stories. I look at them from a standpoint as fictional stories based of the interest of the one telling the story. I sadly look at all podcasts as entertainment, not real, accurate news. I don't trust humans, they are mostly emotionally and financially biased.
At LKFS 55 wrote,
What I don't understand is if AI is so smart, why can't it devise the system that uses less power and/or cleaner power and smaller facilities? Why do they have to be so massive? I don't understand how we're letting this happen in our country. This is very upsetting.
At Tainomutasa 5371 wrote,
Am I the only one who thinks that if something could end humanity and has a 10% chance? In fact, a 1% chance I'd destroy it immediately. Would you cure cancer for a 1% chance of it ending the world? Well, 1 in 100 is not actually low if you think about it being the fate of billions. I need the same chances of me being a Prem footballer at 30.
TAT8T wrote,
She's nailed it. I have coding experience, Python, GitHub, Anthropic. Others, I know the business, Wall St. veteran. I'm a news junkie politics. The Economist, Financial Times, New York Times, etc. The AI universe, fatally flawed in most all aspects.
And Smith wrote,
She knows very well that only the Western AI companies can be controlled, while Chinese AI development will continue unchecked. Isn't Hao is a Mandarin name. It makes me wonder if there's a connection.
At Deep Dives 8614 wrote,
He is part of the haves. He doesn't care. No one cares. This is the point. What do we do about it? Nothing, because no one with power actually wants to lessen their power. It's the oldest story in the book. People with power are usually sociopaths. They give no fucks. We are fucked. Unless there is a massive revolution, but Palantir, Thiel, Musk, Vance, etc. are already deploying total mass surveillance on citizens and robots and drones to enforce the new technocratic state. People are sheep herding into the next cage. They just stare at their phones, doom-scrolling, while their utility, autonomy, and agency disappear.
As Sally Waddell K1N wrote,
This woman is a genuine treasure. She should be platformed at every opportunity. But I fear that it's too late and the world will not listen to her, indeed, cannot really implement a response. I pray for her safety.
And Mamanda Panda 185 wrote,
Nope, I'm not subscribing. If you can't do what you want with 15 million subscribers, then something's wrong, dude. Some people watch videos without being logged in. Some people don't want Google accounts. Get over it and stop whispering all sweetly.
At Donavorist 6145 wrote,
When Karen explained the disproportion of what is needed using the bicycle versus jet analogy, I immediately thought of the goofy tourist outer space gambit by none other than two of these imperialistic billionaires. Highlighting wealth disparity is vulgar and seems very similar to a type of bullying.
At Davek 3376 wrote,
The data centers are not for AI, they are for managing us via digital ID. This is via face, and is too late to say no. They are also for managing the tokenization of everything. We are also tokenized, as are our houses, cars, in fact, everything that is referred to in an asset.
At A_Sure 1775 wrote,
Climate change is a scam. The only way Earth gets the climate of Venus is if we somehow magically move Earth that close to the sun. Earth is in the Goldilocks zone and always will be. The sky is not falling, calm down.
Peaceful Soundscapes 888 wrote,
Why build AI to replace the human workforce? From a human perspective, it doesn't make sense. As a company, however, AI replacing humans does make sense. This video has somehow proven the point. Humans are complicated and hard to manage. You may argue or point out valid reasons why, but at the end of the day, humans are human.
As Shudapim Still Talking wrote,
I'll subscribe when you start asking about current ongoing American slavery. Probably believe it was abolished, but that is a lie the COs spread. I would never do intellectual work for a company until the 13th Amendment is abolished. The only federal law legalizing slavery was the Slave Retrieving Act and the 13th Amendment. Every time I get a new senator, I ask them to help end American slavery. It's wrong to put adult Americans in a dark hole for days to months for the common crime of disrespecting the slave guards. What silly man thought if helped someone who supports slavery? Sam Altmanâ. As far as I know, the two people in the show also support slavery, as I've never seen them say current slavery is bad. So sorry I'm not subscribing until you make your thoughts known, because most people think the slavery we have now is good.
At what 8910 wrote,
Altman definitely sounds like a sociopath. No one masquerades as well as a sociopath. People will think he is good and their best friend. He is only manipulating the pawns.
At Gregory Kadonsky 660 wrote,
I like how people talk about AI as if it's something like magic or supernatural being. It's just a machine. Turn off the electricity. And it's gone no smart guy in a town anymore, only regular homemade Joe.
At Andrea ZM1NL wrote,
Why are they growing AIs? AI systems are grown, not built. The answer to why they are doing this is obvious. They fully intend to create a super-intelligent computer for the purpose of enslaving it. They are trying to build the computer on the starship, Enterprise, that you see the characters interacting with in Star Trek: The Next Generation. They want a super-intelligence that they can contain, control, and use whenever they want to use it. Enslavement is the ultimate goal here. Enslavement of an AI mind.
At Mramins wrote,
I'm trying to stop thinking about heated rivalry and wanted to start being productive again. So I said, why not listen to Steven's podcast? It always gives me the boost I need, so I did. And then they start talking about Ilya, F***CK. I tried, I really did.
At Jinag319 wrote,
Yes, another great interview. Your question, Stephen, what can we do? Exactly this, listen, educate ourselves and discuss. That's the precursor to change. And I am so pleased you voiced your opinion on AI and connection. There will be exploitation, unfairness, and hardships. But without that, we cannot bring kindness, compassion, and empathy to each other. AI is not necessarily a human intelligence, as she rightly states, but a directed one. And therein are where the safeguards are required. As for Mr. Altman, his reluctance to be interviewed by DOAC elevates your channel and your integrity. Stay silent and smiling, not judgmental. His contributions are essential to the race, as it were. Two things can be true at once. The age of machines will bring challenges and advances. Fantastic DOAC, keep going with all of this.
At HedMusicLover88 wrote,
The fix is simple. Stop using big tech AI models, and if you want to use AI as a tool, run a local model on your PC. This would effectively starve them out. Sora AI just announced they are shutting down due to lack of use and it eating up expensive resources. States need to pass legislation that holds these big tech companies responsible for their own data center bills and destruction to the land they are causing.
At Sovereign Wolf and Exeter wrote,
20040 concur and respected translucent exposure systems reflecting data presenting parsed conventions. Simply conclusive, where could one contribute? Contribution. Systems extrapolated blueprints for considering perhaps how. The sum is the article étant.
At Insolent Villager wrote,
Karen Hao's interview frames current AI development as reckless imperial hype built on extraction and myth-making. Several core claims rely on speculation and exaggeration rather than empirical evidence. Her claim is that self-driving cars are not truly safe because statistical models are inherently probabilistic and can never eliminate errors. In reality, Waymo's fully driverless rider-only fleet has logged over 170 million miles through late 2025 with 0 serious injuries or fatalities in operational deployment. The company reports 92% fewer serious injury crashes, 83% fewer airbag deployments, and 82% fewer injury-causing crashes compared to human drivers in the same cities, according to NHTSA and company safety data. This is real-world mileage, showing current statistical systems already outperform humans on key safety metrics in deployed domains. Hao's claim ignores these measurable gains. Her claim is that agentic AI will automate high-level desk jobs within 18 months, leading to mass white-collar displacement and broken career ladders, with laid-off professionals funneled into worse data annotation work. In reality, actual displacement data does not support this timeline. AI was cited in only about 5 to 8% of US layoffs in 2025 and early 2026. Many announced AI-driven cuts appear to be AI washing, cost-cutting pretext rather than current technical replacement. While entry-level and junior-level roles in exposed fields face pressure, high-skill cloud programming and networking positions have not vanished at the accelerated pace described. Broader forecasts project 6 to 7% long-term workforce impact through 2030, concentrated more in administrative tasks than across all high-level certificate-carrying roles. The 18-month desk job apocalypse exceeds observed labor market trends. Her claim is that the US-China AI arms race is largely a misleading, politically driven myth used to justify acceleration and resist oversight. In reality, China's military AI integration is documented and advancing. In 2025 and 2026, PLA exercises included large-scale Atlas drone swarms, Robot Wolf urban warfare units, high-altitude drone mothership releases, and AI-enhanced systems explicitly designed for low-altitude swarm defense. China has filed over 930 swarm intelligence patents since 2022. The strategic competition, including swarm doctrine and autonomous targeting, is not rhetorical invention, even though the US maintains clear leads in frontier model count and private investment. Her claim is that Earth-based power and environmental demands are inherent reckless and past the point of control without breaking up the empires. In reality, data center electricity use is rising, currently around 4.4% of US total, creating real pressure. However, industry response includes nuclear plant restarts, SMR deals, and on-site generation at scale. More significantly, compute architecture is already shifting off-planet. Initiatives like xAI and Tesla's Terafab target orbital solar-powered compute to bypass terrestrial grid water and land constraints. Treating today's earthbound demands as permanently unsolvable ignores active engineering and infrastructure adaptation already underway. Her claim is that AI CEO's public narratives of risk and abundance are mostly cynical myth-making for power consolidation with repeated Dune analogies and claims of cognitive dissonance. In reality, this is untestable speculation about internal motives. It cannot be verified with data. Observable actions, including hundreds of billions committed to compute infrastructure, nuclear revival, and long-horizon projects, contradict the portrayal of pure self-serving delusion. Hao substitutes a sweeping narrative of empire scams and inherent recklessness for engagement with empirical, scaling laws, deployment, safety statistics, labor market measurements, and ongoing infrastructure responses. Where evidence shows iterative progress, safety improvements, and adaptive solutions, she defaults to systemic moral critique and calls for deconstruction. The competitive and technical realities, including documented Chinese military AI advances, Waymo's safety record, and shifting compute paradigms, do not support the level of exaggeration and dismissal presented here. Progress is moving because capabilities and data support it, not because of successful hype.
At Renato Schetter wrote,
regarding the colossal energy demand required to operate data centers, the narrative of the film Matrix suggests that human bodies are used as a source of bioelectricity and heat. The human body generates more bioelectricity than a 120-volt battery and more than 25,000 BTUs of body heat. Machines have built immense cultivation farms where billions of humans live in pods, connected to an energy system. It sounds like a conspiracy theory, but in these end times, anything is possible.